What is up, everybody, and welcome back to The Life and Suffering of Sir Brante, episode number 10 with me, GamerKnoob. Let's get this show on the road. Hearts on fire. The last straw is growing stronger by the day. More and more names are being added to your list of potential recruits. Dress fancy tomorrow, Brante, but don't look too rich. We're going to a salon, a gathering of young poets. They're all commoners, mostly new believers, so they think they aren't defying their lot by writing poetry. This will be their first meeting ever. I say we take a gander. Who knows? They could be useful. Freaking Gloria's gonna be here, isn't she? We go to a small building in the very heart of the city. The first floor was once a tavern, but it has been converted into a stage with benches for the audience. The place is noisy and crowded. Those who cannot find a seat squeeze into spaces between the benches. You and Sophia stand in the back corners, far away from one another. A young man in a threadbare jacket makes an announcement. Welcome to the first weekly gathering of the Anazot Poetry Society. Poets are all young men and women. They take turns walking up to stage from the benches to read a poem or two of their own creation. They look humble and shy at first, but as they declare their stanzas, their voices ring with sudden strength and daring fervor. A mighty giant with his head held high, his heavy tread, his trained and measured stride. He is an effigy of lowborn life, with naught but chaff and rags and dust inside. By lowborn labor granted food and clothing, he is indeed a terrifying sight. But look behind his eyes and you will find, not grandeur or renown, but fear and loathing. Behold the azure skin, the bred contempt, their past long turned to ash, their blue blood bled. Their majesty in flames, their mantles rent. Ensconced in diamonds white and rubies red, the glimmering giant rots. His essence spent, the gems may glitter, but the husk is dead. The poems recited on stage display exceptional variety. Rhymed couplets, blank verse, short stanzas, lengthy cantos, pathos-laden ballads, vulgar screeds, humorous epigrams, scathing tirades. But in each and every voice you hear the same pain, the same weary ache born of servitude, the gnawing grievance with the gods, the simmering rage against the empire and dreams of another destiny, another life, another existence. A commoner. The word is like a brand. The twins themselves once told me to be silent. I want to scream. Can't take this anymore. The misery around me knows no end. The gentlefolk just beat us and demean us, the young, the old, the poor, the sick, the tired. They tread upon us, gazing at the heavens that feed upon our sweet-soaked suffering. Every poem fills the room with loud applause. Every line resounds in people's hearts. This much is clear from their faces. Some mark every word and verse with a nod, while others cannot hold back tears. With the zeal of preachers guiding their flock to their lot, these young poets chastise the ills of worldly life in every word they utter. You join the applause. Like it or not, this poetry hits home. Some of the poems are crafted so well you find yourself eager to read them. This kind of poetry would be in great demand here in Anazot. What a shame no print shop would agree to publish it. Later that night, you rejoin Sophia to discuss what you have seen. I've never heard anything like that before. I'm used to nursery rhymes and bawdy drinking songs, but this is something else. You cannot help but nod. The meeting was like a sermon, and the poet's words hit as hard and as true as the sacramental lash. And the audience, you recognize the look in their eyes. People look at Sophia just the same way every time she uses her magic. The thing is, they have no magic, but they can see the truth, and they talk about it so well you can't even stand it. Well, what can I say? I'm glad we went. Those kids could easily spark a riot with just a rhyme or two, but the question is, what are we supposed to do with them? It's a good question indeed. A difficult question. Those young poets are at their strongest when they speak from the heart. Trying to tame their ardor would be like playing with fire. You could recruit them, but it would not be easy to use them. If you cannot keep them in check one day, they will inevitably incite a rebellion. Maybe it'd be wiser to nip this in the bud and put an end to their society right now. The secret chancellery could easily deal with them, but you could also report them to prefecture. The gendarmes could take care of them in no time. Or maybe you could pass the case along to father. Might do his career some good. Or perhaps this all seems so new, so unknown. Is there a way that you could harness the strange new force of nature? I don't want to recruit them or let Philippe handle them. I'm kind of interested in publishing and reporting to the poets. I think I'm going to lean towards publishing. But the reporting was definitely something I was thinking about. But I didn't want to report and then like think Gloria might dislike me because of it, you know? I think we're gonna publish a book. With a smile, you assure Sophia that you know a way to harness their useful ardor. Oh yeah? Okay, do it then. In spite of her lowly lot, your sister has been writing poems and stories ever since she was a little girl. As Gloria grew up, she easily found like-minded friends, poetry-inclined commoners like her, and you saw a number of her friends on stage tonight. Now that you think about it, you half expected Gloria to be there as well. Back home, you tell your sister how impressed you were by the Poetry Society. As the owner of your own print shop, maybe you could compile their works into a book of poetry. It would be the Empire's first poetry book written by commoners. You can turn the handsome profit and make the poets famous all over Magra. Could Gloria tell her friends about this idea? Wow, I never thought you'd have the nerve to try something like this. Sure, I'll have a word with my friends. I'm sure many of them will be interested. But there's one thing. They'll never use their real names in the book, otherwise they'll get in trouble with the prefecture or the secret chancellery. Actually, are you sure this is a good idea? Can you really trust the people at your print shop? Maybe you should do all the work yourself at night. That way nobody will know, and you'll have to distribute the books and secrets too. You shouldn't put your freedom at stake for the sake of coin. Not to worry, you assure Gloria. You have thought of everything. The poets' real names and the origins of the book will remain a secret. I can't tell how happy this makes me. There's so many talented poets in Anazot, and they never ever even hoped their works would see print. They'll treasure your gift forever. It does not take you long to get started. The compilation entitled The Voice of Anazot is soon ready. You instruct Alita and the other Last Straw spies to sell the book in secret all over the city. Will do, noob. When it comes to this job, young Alita is more eager than ever. After all, many of the poems in this book are dedicated to the suffering of those who struggle against tyranny, and including those who died in Eterna after the trial of the 50. You sell several hundred copies in a matter of days and receive many requests to print more. Popular, rare, and banned by the authorities, the book turns out significant profit. You keep working on new print runs and sell them easily, even at 3 times the price of a normal book. The poems are quoted all over town. They are declaimed by young people in the squares and on the streets. They are put to music and sung in taverns. They are written in paint and soot on the walls. More and more young people recite them instead of prayers. I want to scream. I can't take this anymore. Unrest +1. Spy network -1. We're still in infiltration mode though, so that's okay. Continue. And wealth +2. Back up to moderate means. Alright. And manipulation up 1. Love it. Like my manipulation. Year 1139. This event is a consequence of your previous actions. Unity 10. Moment of respite. Your work for the day is finally done. You hurry to the family home where peace and tranquility dwell again at last. Still, you have grown used to the idea that this peace could be disturbed at any moment. As you enter, Father walks down the stairs to greet you. He smiles happily and warmly. Noob, my dear son, you're spending so much time at work. Look, you can barely stand. You need some rest. Please, stay at home with us for a while. Surely your work can wait. You've earned yourself a moment of respite. You consider his words for a moment and agree. Overjoyed, Father takes your hand and leads you into the sitting room. You spend several days resting in the family home where your troubles are distant and your family is close. They tell you their news, you carefully share yours. You spend the evenings together on the porch, just like the good old days, listening to Father's stories of your family history, sharing laughter over memories of childhood. It is late now. Cicadas buzz quietly in the garden. The windows of the bedrooms glow with warm light. You recline in a wicker chair with a glass of good wine. There's no place like home. Ooh, are we gonna get bonuses? Oh yeah. Everybody going up and up. Willpower 20, prepared for anything. Awesome, we needed that. Get our family love back up and running there. The Archduke and the Overseer. 2 powerful lords have been struggling for power in Magra for 20 years now. The new overseer of the province, Gaius Tempest, cannot seem to rein in the obstinate spirit of Archduke Tarquinius Milanidas. Unwilling to accept that he is no longer the overseer of Magra, the Archduke still stubbornly continues to assert his right to rule the province. Most of the Magran gentry, who swore allegiance to him generations ago, remain loyal to him even now. Gaius Tempest has publicly demanded that the Archduke recognize the Overseer's rule as legitimate. I am the voice and the will of Emperor Uther II in the province of Magra. All lands, deeds, and titles notwithstanding, Archduke Milanidas must obey his sovereign's will and heed his decree. I hereby extend to the Archduke an offer of peace. Should the Archduke cease his insubordination, his lands, deeds, and titles shall remain his own. The Archduke's response to the overseer was openly defiant. Since the days of yore, the land of Magra has belonged to the Melanidas dynasty. We are part of the Empire, and we are the Emperor's loyal servants. However, our dynasty will not stand for such intrusion upon our lawful rights and privileges. Never before has an Archduke been stripped of his right to represent the Emperor's rule in his own province. So do not forget, Sir Overseer, that the highest noble families of Magra have sworn fealty to me alone. Neither the Archduke nor the Overseer will relent, but both are too powerful to be readily disposed of. The bad blood between the two Arknian has festered for too long, and the common people have begun to pay the price for their strife. Stripped of the Overseer's tax privileges, the Archduke Melanidas has decided to impose his own levy upon the citizens and villagers of Magra. The commoners are now forced to pay taxes twice, first to the Overseer and then to the Archduke. This double burden is too much for the common people of Magra to bear. Many have refused the second tax outright as a lawless measure, but the Imperial Legion, led by young Dorius Otten, is ruthless. Eagerly and without mercy, the Legion soldiers collect the Archduke's return in cities and villages alike. Not good, not good! Taxing the people to death! A gift for the family. This last year has been an ordeal for your family. The pains taken to be ennobled by the sword, the close attention of the city aristocracy, the squabbles between Stefan and Gloria. Tonight your preoccupied father has gathered the entire family around a table in the backyard. The sun is almost set and there is a soft breeze, but instead of a meal in the open air, you're going to attend a family meeting. In the middle of the table you see an open gilded box. It's full of jewels. Archduke Melanidas himself has bestowed this gift upon us. It is a surprise indeed. I thought you all had a right to know. Father unfolds a letter laying beside the box. Sir Robert Brante, I bestow this precious box upon you and your family as a symbol of care with which I treat the people of my province. Pray accept this gift and remember with whom the loyalty of the true nobles of Magra lies. Archduke of Magra, Tarquinius of the Melanidas. The family stares in amazement at the jewels sparkling in the last rays of sunshine. It's worth quite a fortune, but the Archduke is fully aware that I am on the side of the Prefecto Born and Overseer Gaius Tempest. Could he really expect our loyalty to be bought so brazenly? On the other hand, the Archduke is not demanding anything of us, and our family has borne a lot of expenses recently. Father, no one is forcing you to side with Melanidas. Who are we in comparison to the Archduke anyway? We must not anger him by refusing his gift. The jewels are certainly welcome. They are worthy of being shared with the best families in Anazot. They will pave our way to the nobility of the sword. Mother shakes her head glumly. Oh, Robert, I have a feeling this gift bodes ill. It may be an impertinence on my part, but I do not want our family to be indebted to the Archduke. Certainly not. Accepting gifts from Melanidas is infamous for oppressing the commoners and robbing villages blind with his taxes. This isn't your decision, Gloria. It's a matter of our family's honor and reputation. Please don't start bickering again. Let Noob say what he thinks we should do with this gift. You're the center of attention now. Your vote will be the deciding factor. Huh. I'm probably not going to sell the jewels, which is just weird. I think declining would be very bad. You don't want to make that man that angry. I think we give them to prominent nobles as gifts. I think we give them out. You agree with Stefan. A gift from the Archduke is not to be refused. It would be better to use it for a more important goal, obtaining the nobility of the sword. You and Stefan will determine when and how and who to whom the gifts will be given. I'm inclined towards the same solution. Let it be so. I'll send a note to the Archduke expressing our humblest gratitude, but I'll point out that I don't mean to change sides. I still serve my prefect and my overseer. Be careful, Father. The Melanidas house is not to be trifled with. The Archduke will have nothing to reproach you with. Noob and I will put the jewels to good use. You and Stefan spend the next couple of weeks arranging meetings and attending receptions and feasts. You discover that you are on par with your brother in your understanding of the nobility of Anazot, including their relations and their quirks. The generous gifts and the refined manners of your brother and you display before the aristocrats allow your family to rise in their esteem. There is but one disadvantage. You do not have a single coin tucked away in the family treasury. Yes, we do. We have money. Scheming go up. We have 4 Welsh citizens. You and Sophia have accomplished a lot over the past year. The last straw now consists of half a dozen cells that know nothing about one another. You have several informers gathering rumors and news. Many citizens support your cause and are ready to help. The ranks of the underground society include honest rebels eager to bring the Empire down, as well as thieves and thugs willing to break any law as long as they get paid. As more and more people join your insurgency, rumors spread throughout the city. will soon become impossible to conceal your existence. The last straw desperately needs a public figurehead, someone to act as a patron of your secret society, someone who can justify your existence to the authorities. You choose Mayor Eggman. He has earned a fortune and made a name for himself thanks to the silver mines, and now he is the leader of the Magran Lesser Quorum. Rumor has it he is eager to get in touch with someone from the underground. If there was ever a time to meet, it is now. Fortunately, you know people who know people, and soon enough you arrange a meeting. An empty warehouse late at night. All the workers have gone home. A dim lamp is the only source of light in the spacious facility. The two of you are alone here, free from prying eyes. Up close, Eggman turns out to be a broad-shouldered, middle-aged man in a pricey frock coat. He wears no jewelry, but his beard and mustache are well kempt. Only the gray hair at his temples betrays his age. He offers you a warm, rough hand. It is calloused the hand of a man who has had to work all his life. You shake it readily. The industrialist offers you a seat at a nearby table. Truth be told, young man, I know your family quite well. I had the honor to be introduced to your grandfather back in the day. Unfortunately, Sir Gregor Brante wasn't exactly delighted to meet me. But your father has a staunch supporter of Elborn. We've often seen eye to eye, and he and I. Let's see if you and I can find some common ground too. I'll be frank with you, I know quite a bit about what you're up to here in Anazot. You've built yourself a functioning underground society, and you've done it very quickly, all without getting caught. I'd say you've got an eye for business. But tell me, why are you doing all this? What's your goal? What are you trying to achieve? Please be sincere with me. I'm the last man who wants to see you reported to the secret chancellery. You were prepared for this question. Eggman listens carefully as you give him a short speech on the coming rebellion against the Empire, first in Anazot, then in Magra. When you are done, the industrialist lets out a sigh. Ambitious, determined, but utterly useless. Let's say you manage to foment an uprising against the Archduke, against the Overseer, even the Emperor himself. Well, what then? What are your demands? Who do you want to listen to them? If you ever negotiate or make a deal, with whom will you do it? What about your terms, and what will your relationship with the Empire be like if your revolt succeeds? So far, Noob, I've heard no answers to these questions, to be honest. I'm quite confident you don't have any answers. But fortunately for you, I do. There's one self-evident factor I'd like to bring to your attention. Whenever someone discusses authority or power within the Empire, there's one thing that never seems to raise any doubt. Prefects and commanders, magistrates and overseers, they're always nobles. Any position of power, only for the nobles. Landowners, always nobles. Who rules over Anazot? Overseer, Tempest, or Archduke Melanidas? No one can say for sure these days. Either way, no matter who they are, nobles rule the city. But a city isn't a castle or a fortress. A city is more than a sum total of its walls and buildings. A city is its people, the commoners who work and trade and live there. There's always been, and always will be more of us than the nobles. We are this city, Brante. You've never been to a meeting of the Lesser Quorum, have you? I won't bore you with the details, let me put it this way. It's the only place where the common estate has the same rights as the nobles. Sure enough, there's arguing, there's contention, there's a fight every time we meet, but as we argue, as we contradict each other, we find a new way, one that takes everybody's interests into account. But unfortunately, right now, the Lesser Quorum only has the authority to discuss issues related to taxation in the province. But if you and I can come to an agreement, this will change. I've spent most of my life making the idea of the Quorum a reality, and I swear to you on my life that it works. This is the only way to bring something new to the Empire, by giving the commoners and nobles the same power. Eggman is shouting now, his eyes shining with excitement. He is utterly engrossed in his idea, and you feel he actually believes what he says. And here in Magra, we have the chance. We have no way to do it in the past, back when Archduke Melanidas was in charge, but now Gaius Tempest represents the Empire's authority in Magra. Tempest still can't find a way to share power with Melanidas. He needs all the support he can get, and you and I, we can give him that support. And Noob, are you aware of how Gaius Tempest ended up becoming the Overseer of Magra? He was far too progressive for the capital and his fellow Arknians. He went too far in his attempts to make nobles and commoners equal under the imperial law, and he was exiled to Magra for his troubles. And yet Gaius Tempest has never abandoned the idea of making the estates equal. He was the one who supported the creation of the Lesser Quorum. He is well disposed toward the lowly estate and tends to listen to reason. We can make him our ally, and your uprising could be the deciding factor. If we can manage to seize control of the city and hang on to it, if we can prove we're able to run Anazot, the citizens show us their support, then we'll have a lot to offer the Overseer. In return for making Anazot a free city, a city-state, if you will, we'll recognize Gaius Tempest's authority in Magra and support him as the power struggle against Archduke. If the nobles and commoners come to govern a city together, in just a few short years it will become obvious to the entire empire how advantageous this arrangement is. and in the old traditions will have no choice but to step aside. I understand that things like this take time, but as you prepare for the revolt, I'll support your underground movement with all the power and funding at my disposal, as long as you say you'll walk toward this future goal with me. Mayor Eggman lets out a sigh. Delivering such a fervent speech is no easy task for the man this age. After a moment of quiet, you agree. Yes, you say. This is the future worth fighting for. The last straw will support Eggman's plan. You promise to spread his vision of free the city of Anazot, first among the rebels, then throughout the city, starting immediately. You shake hands. Once the conversation is over, you leave the warehouse and walk back through the dark streets of Anazot. You have made a promise, but what are you actually going to do? There's a kernel of truth on Mayor Eggman's words. The age industrialist's plan could actually work. This is no longer just a pointless revolt doomed to fail. Dangerous thoughts begin to run through your mind. Would it be best to abandon the idea of the free city of Anazot and report this meeting to Sir Philippe? Oh no. I don't want to. I have to keep the secret plot. I have to try. I feel like we're gonna die. I feel like it's gonna get us killed in the end. In your report to Philippe, you claim that Mayor Eggman was more careful than you expected, and your attempts to come to an agreement with him were unsuccessful. You claim that the industrialist is putting money into the struggle for commoners' rights, but cleverly disguises it as charity. In the end of your report, you assure Philippe that you will find a way for the secret chancellery to connect Eggman's actions to underground activities and the brewing revolt. However, you can't do it right now. You expect Philippe to reply with a furious letter. But as the days go by, you do not receive a single word from the secret chancellery advisor. The silence feels more menacing than any threat. It does. I'm terrified now. A plot with Eggman. Oh dear. It's gonna end up getting us our true death, isn't it? Oh dear. An old friend. Oh, are we gonna see Thomas? Night is falling over Anazot. The stifling heat gives way to eagerly anticipated freshness. After a day at work, you stroll at home at a leisurely pace. You turn down a side street that you have known since you were a little boy. It is as if your legs are acting of their own accord, bringing you to a place of your childhood plays, the remnants of the wooden fort. So much has changed since the days when you used to play here with your little friends. Engrossed in your memories at first, you fail to notice you're not alone here. A tall figure in a uniform of a Legion officer approaches you. You see unruly brown hair and a twinkle in his eye. It is Thomas. Now that's a surprise. Hi, Brante. Fancy running into you at the moment. I'm back in town. Your childhood friend puts his arms around you. Our battalion got transferred here recently. We're under the command of the Magger Legion now, keeping the peace and maintaining order in my very own province. Well, why don't we catch up? Let me buy you dinner. We'll have a little chat. Remember the old days. Thomas cuts himself short. You suddenly notice how much older he looks. His face has become sharper and rougher, and his eyes are filled with the exhaustion rather than their usual mischievous sparkle. I should warn you though, noob, I ain't the best company nowadays. I've managed to get myself some powerful enemies already. I'm a friend who could taint your good name, so if you'd rather not be seen with me, well, I understand. The smile on his face starts to fade. No, we're definitely gonna be eating with Thomas. Are you crazy? What's this? If I was the path of a nobleman, or if we're definitely gonna be friends with Thomas. You give Thomas your hand, you shake hands firmly. So you haven't forgotten your old friend, Brante. That's the way it ought to be. Well, come on then. Go to a tavern and listen about your childhood days. On these very streets along the way, you choose a table in the far corner of the tavern. Thomas orders a bottle of good wine and some food. You talk about your latest case, about your first years back in Anazot. You share family news, your quest to become nobles of the sword, the quarrels between your elder brother and sister, your mother's health. Thomas nods with concern. Sounds like you've had some tough times. Your family has always been different. Mine, on the other hand, is the same as it ever was. My pa is always in his workshop, and my ma's always doing chores. But look at me, I came home a service-class nobleman, although it doesn't bring me much joy anymore. Thomas is suddenly grim. You ask your friend to share his troubles with you. He quickly glances around the room and lowers his voice. Well, I'm a captain in the Magger Legion now, and who's our commander? His Excellency, Dorius Otten, that's right. I serve under the very same Arknian whose toes I stepped on back in Eterna, and you better believe he remembers me. I'm afraid things are gonna end real bad. But hey, I'll figure it out somehow. Don't trouble yourself over it. Apart from that, well, it's the usual service. We impose order in uppity towns and villages, protect the province and that sort of thing. And we run drills all day long. Obviously, if only you knew how sick I am of the barracks. Noob. I've thought about starting a family. My mom keeps telling me to find a nice girl to marry. She says it's time I got hitched. It is completely dark and you are still talking. Finally, Thomas remembers that his parents are waiting for him. You get up from the table, leaving some dirty dishes and quite a few empty bottles behind. On your way out, you catch a glimpse of a nondescript figure following you up to the door. As you walk alongside Thomas through your neighborhood, you keep glancing over your shoulder, but the shadow that is following you has disappeared. You reach your street and stop for a while, in the semi-darkness between your family homes, just as you used to all those years ago. Bye, Brante. I hardly come to Anazot these days. Our battalion is always on the march all over the province, but twins willing, we'll see each other again real soon. You advise your friend to safeguard his every life. Oh no, tarnished honor, not good. But we are super prepared for anything. I couldn't let Thomas go, even with their family. We need to find a way to get our family's honor up, though. The gunpowder plot. You were sitting on a solitary bench in the gazebo in the Archduke's garden. Tall lanterns spread their dim glow in the cool evening air. When Gaius Tempest became the overseer of Magro, one of his first edicts granted the commoners entry to the Archduke's garden. At the time, many Magrans saw this gesture as a sign of future change. But unfortunately, the right to visit the Archduke's garden is the only new right the commoners now enjoy by the grace of Overseer Tempest. It does little to ease the burden of double taxation or the need to work the mines without gunpowder. A serpentine stone paved road leads to the gazebo. Many flower beds are nestled in the bends and coils of the elaborate path. In the distance, on the other end of the path, you finally see Sophia's silhouette. She takes a look around, then steps over the low fence and walks to you through the flowers. I had trouble finding you here, Brante. Let's meet in one of the usual places next time. It isn't safe here. You agree, although you are sick and tired of the stuffy basement rooms and the trash-filled ruins where you typically arrange to meet the leaders of the last straw cells. Okay, let's get to it. The last straw needs gunpowder. We could really use some. If we had gunpowder, we could blow up the Emperor's statue in the Golden Square, or the wall of the city armory. There's all kinds of stuff we could do. The thing is, you can't find it anymore. Even owning it is forbidden thanks to the Overseer. Magran industry has had to swallow a bitter pill and trade their fancy new gunpowder for good old shovels. Except not everybody got rid of it. Lucky for us, right? That new friend of yours, Mayor Eggman. He's a resourceful fellow. He started buying gunpowder by the barrel some 20 years ago to work the mines. They still use it in his mines, but late at night so nobody finds out. There's a warehouse where they keep the mountains of that stuff, Brante. We need to get our hands on it. If we can get the mayor to hand it over on his own, all the better. But if he digs his heels in, we'll just pay the warehouse a visit and grab it. Done deal. What do you say? Yeah, we'll make a deal with Mayor Eggman, I think. Yeah, I like it. Sophia can rest easy. You promised to get her the gunpowder. Alright, Brante, I'll leave this up to you. You're meeting with Mayor Eggman in several days, for the 4th time this month, in fact. After the deal you struck at the warehouse, you have to maintain utmost secrecy every time. You arrive at the tavern. Thick drapes hide your table from prying eyes. Eggman is already there, ready to begin his usual dinner, roast goose with vegetables and a pitcher of young wine. Mayor consumes his food without any obvious pleasure. It must be an old habit. After all, pleasures are forbidden to the common estate. You cannot help but imagine Godfather's outrage at seeing such a lavish feast for a lowly man. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, you get down to business. Your people need gunpowder, and you know that Eggman has some. The aging businessman puts down his knife and fork and dabs at his lips with a napkin. His eyes, however, study intently all the while. How do you know that, Brante? Who else knows what you just told me? I trust you, but can I trust your people? You assure Eggman that his secret is safe with you, but sooner or later the secret chancellery will find out about his illegal uses of gunpowder in his mines and exploit it as leverage against him. The industrialist's fingers drum a nervous rhythm on the table. He sighs. You're right, the risk is too big, I suppose. I'll have to keep my appetites humble, even if that means closing down several mines. As for your request, I don't think I can agree. Gunpowder will make it obvious that I was involved. I'm not going to ask how you plan to use the explosives, but you're bound to make some noise. The secret chancellery will take note of it, and then they'll come after me for sure. But you are already plotting a revolt, you tell Eggman. This path leads to the gallows one way or the other. If the revolt fails, there is no way to escape execution. The die has been cast. Victory or death, it is too late to be afraid of the Empire now. And when an explosion shakes the city, your destiny will be decided on the streets, not in the dungeons of the secret chancellery. Eggman thinks for several minutes, then finally decides. Very well, Brante, you speak the truth. This is worth the risk. I'll give you 5 barrels of powder and get rid of the rest at once. Good luck out there, Brante. Use this weapon wisely, and be careful with it. Gunpowder is an insidious and unpredictable force. It doesn't care who or what it destroys. A few days later, you transport the barrels to your secret warehouse. No other soul must ever know where you're hiding this perilous cargo. The powder of destruction now rests in your hands. You feel excitement and a touch of dread. We're influential now, yay! Obtain gunpowder. Awesome. Well, guys, I think that's probably going to do it for this episode. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like. If you got anything to say, go to the comments below. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscription button. The bell helps me out a ton. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace.